Hi everyone, it's Case a Card Monday. Did that card look familiar? It should. We did it last week. We're going to do one more sunflower card. I know you're probably getting sick of them, but I've got lots of wonderful cards this week and I'm very excited to share stuff with you. So let's get started. So this is the beautiful card we're going to make today. And if it looks familiar, we did this card last week. Remember this card? Well, I'm going to case this card this week. I have been very busy working on cards for a swap. In case you don't know what a swap is, you make maybe a dozen cards, maybe 25 cards, and then you trade with a group of people that same very card. So I would make 25 of this card and then trade it with everybody in a group. And then I would get 25 beautiful, different, and new cards. So I have some cards to share with you today. Of course, now I can't find them. Oh, they're right here. They're right next to me. They're so close to me, they would bite me. And these are some of the cards that I received earlier in the week. Last week from a swap I did. Does this one look familiar? This was one of the cards I did for my swap. Look at this lovely sunflower card. Just wonderful, wonderful cards. And some of these people you may know, they're local. Some people are from Florida. Some people are from all over the country. Look at the wonderful sponging done on that card. I think this one's really pretty. And I think this one has an interesting fold. Let's take a look and see. I don't always open them right away. Look at how pretty that is. So it's designed, I think, to be like this so that you can set it up. Or maybe I have it wrong. I don't even know, but I love it. I just think it's really a beautiful card. This is done by Jackie Hardy. What a beautiful card. Nice little place to write. Another wonderful sunflower card. I love this background. We have not used that yet. We will be using that. And this is from the suite of sunflowers, but this is a jar that I use the punch to make my in color cutouts to share with you. But look at how beautifully that's colored. And people ask me all the time, well, why do you do swaps? You come up with great cards. Well, honestly, I don't always come up with great cards. This one I think was one of my faves. Susan from verysimplysusan.com. I just love the color combination. And this is new paper that we have. Some of our new papers are just wonderful. And of course now the paper escapes me. So why do I do swaps? Swaps are a great way for me to see ideas from other stampers. It really helps me in the process of designing. As you can see, this card led to this card. And in some ways, I like this blue card as much or better. I always say my favorite card is the last card I made. I have this problem where I fall in love with an idea and I think it's great. And sometimes when I go back, I agree. Sometimes I don't. I like the original card better. Now, one of the really neat parts about this swap is that the people who host it, which are two friends of mine, Debbie Mosick and Maria Lema, both of them make us treats for just participating in the swap. And I got this lovely little box that I put together. And it's nice, they come all flat and then you can put it together. So now on top of getting these wonderful cards, I get ideas. So I have 3 more sets of cards to share with you. I'm going to share them with you every day so that you can see some of the great cards that people make out there that are different. A couple other things I wanted to share with you. is don't forget we do have a new catalog. If you haven't received yours, you can still email me, and I will send along a little wish list. I think I've gotten them out to everyone. My wish list is already too long. And the nice thing about the wish list that I send you is there are a key to where everything is in the catalog. I spent some time making tabs for my catalog, and they make it so easy to find things in the catalog. As we finished up the last catalog, I have a lot of stamp sets that I have retired. A lot of them I shared with you, but I do have a few left. They're not what's pictured here. If you're interested in seeing those, I can send you an email with that list. And I'm offering a special deal that if you order out of the new catalog, that dollar amount will go towards anything that I have that's retiring. So that's a great little deal. It won't last long, and I don't have a lot of stamps left. But if you're interested, please feel free to take a look at that. Okay, so let's keep going. We are going to start with our card, and we are going to need certain supplies. So I have here a list of all the supplies. I also have a code number that if you want to help out a hostess this month, that would be great for you to use. The hostess at this point doesn't have a name. Well, actually, she does have a name, but it may change depending on whether she wants to host the party or not. I haven't even talked to her. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. Don't forget that if you want to leave me a comment or like or share this with people, that really helps me. This is my 13th week. I can't believe I've been doing this for 13 weeks. And I'm starting to like it more and more. It was very hard. The first one took me 3 hours just to do one video. But I'm getting better at it as we go. So let's get started. What do we need for this card? We are going to need 11 by 4 1/4 piece of very vanilla cardstock, which is folded differently than I usually do. Then an 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock, which I am going to go ahead and punch out the Label Me Lovely punch, because I'm going to need that for this part. I sort of did that differently than I did with the other card. I love using punches because it makes things go a little easier and quicker. And this piece, I wrote down that it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but it's actually off. I must have miscut it, but that's okay. I'm going to stamp it because I want to show you this wonderful little thing that I've been doing. I cut off a little piece that I've stamped if I'm going to stamp off the page, and I like to put that inside my cards. I think that makes a really interesting transition between the inside and the outside, and I don't often spend a lot of time on the inside, and I think that that's an important part of the design. So let's continue with what we need. We also are going to use Forever Fern, and the only reason we're using it is because I love this little stamp. I use this so much. And then mostly we're using the large sunflower, the small leaves, and Thanks a Bunch. I sort of really like thank you cards because I use them all the time. And so we're going to start right on a piece of very vanilla cardstock stamping. I've already pre-stamped or pre-inked my sunflower. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, I guess you can sort of. Do you see this line right here? That happens when you stamp off a piece of paper. And if you were to pick it up and stamp again, you would get a weird half stamp. You want to always really be careful of that. If you are wanting to stamp off or continue stamping lighter, stamp off someplace off your paper, stamp it on your card, and then pick up new ink so that you don't end up getting a half a stamp. I threw out a card that I had that problem with. Sometimes I forget. So I'm going to leave this card here so you can sort of follow along. I am going to be stamping pretty similar to what I did earlier. And I'm holding that down to make sure I get a lot of ink contact with my stamp. And it's always important when you stamp off like that that you make sure you cover. So I like to work around my pad. Do you see how I'm working my stamp around the pad? I'm going to move this over a little bit more this time. What I'm doing right now is something that I call wiggling my stamp. You can overdo that and get what we call raspberries. In fact, there was one raspberry right here. That's when you get the edge of the stamp stamping right along here, this little line. And you can see I have ink there. A lot of people will clean the stamp, but my problem with that is that if you clean the stamp, sometimes you clean the ink off the stamp that you want going on. So you have to learn this little technique. It's a little bit of rocking, not too much. And you get better at it. Oh, look, I already have raspberry. So guess what? We're going to do the card like this because I can cover that up with this. That's a sign that I overdid it. And you can see the line I was talking about really well earlier. So I tried this card a couple different ways because I really thought the leaves should be green. But because this color combination is so strong, I decided I was just going to stick with these two colors. And since sunflowers aren't blue, why can't leaves be yellow? You know me. The artist in me always thinks you got to think outside the box. So I'm going to put a couple big leaves here and there and then fill in with some of the little leaves. And then sometimes you can also fix that problem that I had of the raspberries, that's what we call it in stamping, by just using the little dots that I told you I love so much. Just trying to find spots where I think I need a little bit more yellow. And remember that I'm going to be cutting some off anyway. So, okay, I think that's enough. And then the last part is that Forever Fern stamp set that I used. And look at how that covered up my yellow raspberries. I don't think it's going to cover up those, but the yellow I can cover up easily. A lot of people in stamping say mistakes are an opportunity to put on more bling on your card. So that's it. All the stamping's done except for our sentiment, which we'll do right now. That is a 1-inch piece, and I don't know if I put that in the measurements. But here it is. I just have a scrap piece. It's approximately 5.5 inches. I don't need it that big, but I think I'm going to use this one because it's already small enough and it will fit. We'll see if it's going to work. Now on this card, I actually used a piece that was a little bit bigger. I think it was 1.5 or 1 1/4 by 3. But since we're doing something different, I think it'll work. And I'm going to bring this down just a little bit so I can look over it without sticking my head underneath you. Let's see if I can get it nice and straight. That's pretty good. Works for me. I wonder if it would be fun to have a little bit of yellow on this. Or bumblebee, kind of like that. So I am going to glue this to here now. I just got to find a glue that's actually working. This one seems to be working really good. I'm not a fan of using a ton of glue. Not because I don't want stuff to stick, but it oozes out everywhere. And if you don't need to use a ton of glue to keep something down. This glue glues down very well. Now, because this is too big, I have to trim it down. So I'm going to pull out my trimmer, which I have right here. And I am going to cut that down to 4. I want to see which side of this yep, that was the side that had a little problem. Might as well cut that off. And it's going to change the card a little bit. And then I am going to change the length to 5 1/4 because that's the size I want. Now I can use either strip on the inside. if I like it, or I can trim it down if I feel I need something a little different. And I think I am going to trim it down a little bit. I think it's just a little too wide for the inside. So I'm going to trim that off. Okay. Now, I have a little funny little thing that happened here. I don't know if it was a problem with the way the cutter went, but I think it was a problem with the paper. It had a little nick. So I'm going to just sand this off, and I use my trusty little nail file for that. It works so good. Cleans it right up. Okay, so let's put our card together. We need our 11 by 4 1/4 piece of cardstock folded at 5 1/2. I am going to put down my Misty Moonlight new paper and glue that down. As long as I have it adhered, I don't need a ton of glue. Okay, get that down. Put a little weight on it. Sometimes I like to use my bone folder just to make sure that I've got a good adherence. And that fits very nicely there. Yep, that's how I want it, because I'm going to cover up my raspberries that I have there with my sentiment. See, you don't even see the raspberries anymore. I'm going to use some dimensionals. I'm going to use 3 of them going right across. One here, and one right in the center. Just take off that paper, throw that away. Lay that on there. Look at how pretty that is. Even just like that, it's pretty. I am going to add a little bow and the bling, because I always love bling. And I'm just going to glue down the strip. It just adds another element. I could even put some kind of sentiment on the inside if I wanted. But it's just another element of design that makes your card different than all the cards out there. So what am I going to use for bling? I have these lovely little enamel dots. I'm wondering if the cider ones would look good. Let me try that. See if we like it. If we don't like it, we can always put it back. Kind of like it. It's just different. But I'm only going to need 2 because I already have, I can't get to the center of that. I cut it off. So I wonder if I should put one right here. I'm always trying to keep them in 3s. Now, this is something I've been noticing, and I'm going to have to talk to Stampin' Up! Because we are having some of these come off. But there's a real quick fix if you have that. I don't know if the glue is just not staying on. And interestingly enough, they are back ordered. So I'm wondering if Stampin' Up! Is trying to do a quality control issue with it. Now, this will look cloudy like that until that glue dries clear. But I think that adds a nice other little element, a different color in there. And then the last thing is our ribbon, and that is from Celebrate Sunflowers. That has 3 different ribbons that come with it. Get a beautiful green check and a white cotton ribbon that are beautiful ribbons, but I have used this one quite a bit. And I don't know if you can see, but I am not using my bow easy. I'm just readjusting my bow. I think that's the part that people don't like, that the bow doesn't come out perfect the first time. You just have to make some slight adjustments. And I am going to use a glue dot for that. To roll that up so that it stays on there. Just put it right down. And there you have it, a beautiful card, very similar to last week's card, but just slightly different. This coloration could be for someone special. I think it's a little bit more masculine. I just like it. So, And there are actually 3 versions of that card out there right now. So don't forget, if you've enjoyed this, to please share with someone that you think might be interested. I am looking to build my business online and I need your help. I'm so happy to share this with you every day, but it is nice if you can help me out by sharing it with someone else. I hope to see you tomorrow. I am going to start posting these on YouTube as well. I've just been slow to doing that. All this information will be online shortly. Just be patient. Thank you. Have a great day. See